Hey guys, it's Rufus, and if you want to be a better support, my first tip here is to use the SMG-11. Now, you probably hate the SMG-11, a lot of people hate it, but it's not about controlling the recoil that makes someone good with the weapon. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but there's not really much you can do about controlling the recoil. All I've got to say in that regard is to just pull down, right? It's going to go left or right, some amount. And so, if you want to land more shots, you need to put yourself in close range. And that might sound simple enough, right? Put yourself in close range. But it's actually really difficult. You have to have a lot of practice and get used to always thinking about putting yourself in position to be as close as possible. And so when you play mute or smoke all the time, you get used to this really easily. And also, if recoil is something you're having trouble with, just pull down once again. Go into a T-hunt and just pull down over and over as you shoot the gun. Eventually it'll get easier, but there's not really much you can do when it comes to having the recoil sway side to side, so don't worry about it. Just pull down, you'll be fine, and just keep yourself in close proximity with your opponents. Now, another problem I see with a lot of people is that they aren't really helpful as a support, and that's really sad because a lot of people don't use their utility well or effectively as a support. You see, sometimes people are going to call you over as Thermite to open the wall, but also, a lot of the time, as a support, you need to be eager to help out your teammates. You need to be offering that supportive utility more often than they ask for it. Because it's a lot faster if you're able to be on top of things and help your teammates before they're even asking for it. Because when someone has to ask for you to do something, that's 20 to 30 seconds of wasted time just to get something done. And I know 20 to 30 seconds sounds like a lot. It's a huge portion of the round, and that's because it is a lot. It takes a lot of time to actually communicate all of that and have someone rotate over to do whatever you need, on top of all the other comms and everything else that's going on. So, really, it's very important as a support to be thinking about what your team needs from you. Part of this is going to be on your team to communicate what they need from you, but if you know what needs to be done, try and do it as quickly as possible. Now, the next tip is related to comms, and as a support when you're droning, call out that utility. Call out those rotations, call out those shields, those ADSs, with my discs, every single thing you see that is defender utility. The reason you do this is because how many times have you walked into a room, all your teammates are in the room, but you don't realize that that whole wall is open, say in like bank on server. And so you walk into, say, the server room, and you just get domed because the defender's holding an angle on blue stairs door, right? And so calling out utility, letting your teammates know how everything is set up, without them actively having to see it and know what the defender setup is looking like, it makes it so much easier for a team to work around each other, to work well together, and for the IGL to be able to call out how to adjust or whatever, right? And this doesn't just go for supports either, it's just especially important for supports. In fact, everybody should be calling out utility, what they see, and they should be calling that out. But that's a whole separate video, so if you do want to see a video on communication, then you can comment below and tell me that. My next tip is to be flexible in your playstyle and the operators that you play in. And I know this isn't a tip video for how to play flex, but as a support, you're going to have to still roam sometimes. Being a support does not mean that you are an anchor. In fact, anchor, roamer has nothing to do with fragger, not fragger, I don't know. But basically, on my team, I'm a support player. I play SMG-11 a lot, and because of that, I play a lot of mute, and I roam with me. And so you might be thinking, like, why are you roaming with mute? You've got the SMG-11, your gun's so bad, like, how does that even work out? Well, because of setup time, and in fact, with an operator like mute, that's where his strength is. He's good at roaming, despite his lack of fragging capability. His supportive utility complements himself a lot in terms of roaming. This next tip might sound a bit questionable, but don't be afraid to take risks, even if you're smoke and you have 3 canisters. Sometimes you gotta swing, bro. And I know that sounds stupid, but if you're constantly playing passively as a support, you're gonna find yourself struggling a lot. Because just because you're a support does not mean you don't have to frag. Everybody has to frag at some point. And so when you keep yourself in that limited playstyle, you're extremely predictable, you're extremely easy to take out, because when your enemy knows you're not fighting back, it's pretty easy to get a kill, don't you think, right? And so sometimes when I'm on smoke, even though I have a lot of utility, I will swing. There's a couple of reasons for this. First, the amount of times I swing benefits me significantly more than it hurts me. When you know you have a good opportunity, you need to trust yourself. I trust myself to swing, get a kill, and be safe, and to protect my utility. Sometimes you lose, 1 or 2 babes. Sometimes that happens, it sucks, but If you never take risks, you're not going to be able to get the frags for your team that you need. And I know you shouldn't be concerned with frags as support. It does come into play every single round, so you should still be thinking about that, despite that not being your main job. And so you also might be thinking, well, what if I'm not confident? What if I don't know whether I'm going to make the swing or not? Then don't fucking swing, bro. It's really that simple. Just swing when you know that you can make the play. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing? And this last tip is going to be about confidence. It's extremely important. But remember that you are not better than anybody and nobody is better than you. This is actually an important life tip. And I know I may be a bit young to be giving life tips, but I can confidently say ego is the greatest thing that affects teams. Attitude is an extremely huge factor in how a team performs and how well they will do. Like, I can tell you to not be toxic or whatever, but really, if you are having a big ego, it can be difficult to accept this, I know. But try to look at yourself from an outside perspective. In Siege, there are so many factors taken into hand into a single round, a single game, a single play. The difference between a fragger and a support is huge. Just because the fragger gets, all these kills, all these plays, they carry the team, all the time, does not make them any better than anybody else. Yes, they get the spotlight, but what would they do without the supports, right? What would they do without the flex? What would they do without the second fragger? Everybody is a team, and so nobody is above anybody else. It's extremely important that you see yourself as equal to everybody so that you can improve and get better for yourself. If you believe you are better than everybody, you are not going to do well. When you are with, 4 other people that are helping you get better, that are working with you, that you enjoy being with, that you are happy to spend your time with, your progress in getting better as a player is going to exponentially increase versus if one singular person in that group has negative attitude. Negative attitude has such a huge impact. I know I've been ranting about this for a while. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to just worry about yourself. And so that's all I had to say for this video. And if you learned something, give the video a like. And if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe. Toodles.